Go ahead, put it on real tight. Hope you brought your best tonight. They say they got the fireworks, yeah, they say they got the show. You're around the shoots, you're the best, so let's go.
This is Texas Toast. I'm your host, Miss Helen. Kick back and enjoy as we toast the best from Texas.
Hello, everyone. A big welcome to the Texas Toast podcast this week. I'm super excited to invite Phill Brush and Stephen Castillo from the Western Express. Hey, guys, how are y'all?
Hey, doing good.
Doing good. Well, I had a chance to preview the album. Of course, your album is Lunatics, Lovers, and Poets. We're going to talk about some of those releases, and it's coming out first part of August, like August 5th.
That's right.
Okay. And so we'll talk a little bit about production of that and about Stephen, how you wrote some of the songs. But let's talk about you two personally. Now, you originally come from the Houston area growing up, right?
Yep. Both
What
grew up in
part?
Houston. I grew up in West Seal, right in the southwest part of Houston.
Okay.
Stephen's a little bit farther out.
Yeah, I was born in Houston, but I grew up most of my childhood and adolescence outside Nacogdoches, which is about 2 hours north of Houston, 2.5
Right,
hours
right.
north, so.
Yes, because y'all kind of had the Houston roots, but from looking at kind of going through your family tree, as I would say, I noticed that Phill, you ventured in the hill country, and you, Stephen, did adventure over into East Texas. But Phill, I want to talk to you. I was really intrigued that you worked in wilderness education when you were in the hill country.
Yeah, I worked and still do some work for a summer camp called Echo Hill Ranch, which was founded and is partially run now by Kinky Friedman, Texas luminary of odd. And I took that to California and worked in Utah and taking people backpacking and rock climbing and all kinds of stuff. Definitely.
That's awesome. That's
I'm not
awesome.
playing music, that's what I'd like to be doing.
Yes, I'm a huge outdoors person, in case you don't know. And
Yeah.
so then how did you two end up reuniting and forming the Western Express? I know it was y'all both went back to Austin. Is that how that came about?
Yeah, well, Phill and I met on Craigslist.
That's right.
In March or April of 2018, and started playing music together right away. And then about a year later, we sort of broke off from what we were doing previously and started the Western Express. And it was a pretty small outfit at first. It was just Phill, me, and another guy playing guitar, and we were just kind of playing those types of gigs, little trio gigs around town, for the first probably 4 to 6 months, maybe a little bit longer that we were together. So
Y'all just got out there and just started playing everywhere you could play.
just grinding. I think that summer, I mean, that in 2019, I was playing like 20 shows a month or something, all in Austin, and just trying to play as much as possible, get as good as possible, meet as many people as possible. I mean, I think Phill and I both kind of started this around the same time in 2018, and Phill had a few more connections than I did, but I didn't know anybody in the music scene here. I didn't know bar owners or bookers or even other musicians. And so we really kind of had to just dig it out of the dirt, from the beginning. We had to be, good enough that people would take notice and want to book us again,
Well, y'all have done very well. And so how many others are in the band with y'all?
When we're at full capacity, we have a 6-piece band with harmony vocals and guitar, and also some lead vocals from our friend Angie, and then drums, steel guitar, and electric guitar. I play the bass. Stephen plays electric and sings most of the lead. When we're lucky, we get a fiddle, or sometimes keyboard guy come in too.
We love a big band as often as we can, as often as we can have one.
Right.
I love having a big band.
We can afford it.
When we can afford it.
True. Because you worked really hard on your album, again, Lunatics, Lovers, and Poets. And is there a story behind the name of that?
Yeah, there is. It's from Shakespeare, Midsummer Night's Dream. Theseus is talking about how the lunatic, the lover, and the poet all have kind of a similar imagination. They're all their imagination sort of run away with them, all at the same time. And for me, it's a nod to mental health. Kind of the lunatic aspect is mental health, and something that has been a struggle in my life at times, something that I've been an advocate for.
Mhm.
And then of course the lover, the poet, that kind of fits in pretty well with, I think, country music aspect. And I really just loved that whole little chunk in that Shakespeare play, and the monologue that Theseus gives there. It really resonated with me, and the minute I read it, I knew exactly what the title of the record was going to be.
Wow, that's a great story. So let's talk about where you recorded. And I know that you had a lot to say about your producer, John Evans, and talk about going into the studio and how everything came together for y'all.
Yeah, I mean, so John has been a childhood hero of mine since I was a kid. He and my mom grew up together in South Houston, and has been a family friend of my extended family for a very long time. And when I was growing up, my Thanksgiving was 100 people in a band out in the woods of
Oh,
East Texas.
wow.
And John used to bring his band. He brought his band every year for, I don't know, 12 or 15 years, quite a while. They would come out and play every Thanksgiving. And all the cousins my age, or my generation, we all thought John was Johnny Cash. I
Mhm.
mean, we had this kind of like bigger, larger than life idea of him. And so over the years, I've touched base with him a number of times over the years, just like, hey man, I've got some, wonder if you could give me some advice in the music business, or songwriting advice. And he's always been really generous with his time. And when it came time to record the record, he was, incredibly generous. I mean, with us, I think, but he just took care of us. He knew that we had not ever made a record before in any kind of real capacity. And Phill and I were very comfortable giving him the reins, and I think we're both very glad that we did that, because we needed someone who could guide us through what it takes to make a record and make a really good one. And I think we've never once questioned that decision. We've always felt very, very thankful for the touch that John put on the record.
And and just to think how special that is, thinking about, do you just sharing this story going back to your childhood and family Thanksgivings, and then this man takes you in the studio at this point in your life and you record this amazing album, which I understand that you wrote most of the songs on a trip to West Texas.
Yeah, but it's probably half of them. I'd written about half before I went on that trip, and then I drove to Tucson to see one of my best friends, and then, yeah, hit the West Texas desert on the way back, and was just really inspired by the desert. It was the first solo road trip I'd ever taken, and it was a long one. It was a long way to Tucson and back. And I enjoyed the solitude and the quiet of the desert in a way that I think I wouldn't have, even if I had gone with like a pal or a girlfriend or something like that. And I found the quiet, and I found inspiration, through that. So yeah, then about half the songs came, I guess, after that trip, and the half before, and that was it's pretty formative for me.
Mhm. Did you have, I know that, you have the certain tracks that are on the album. Was there tracks, I know a lot of musicians go in the studio and you're like going through that, like birthing the baby process, like which one did we pick for the album? Or were you pretty set on knowing what songs were going to go on it?
I love this. I love this story because when I first went to John, I was like, hey, what if we could do 5 songs, right? Like five felt like a good number for me. It felt like something we could tackle. And I knew nothing about creating a record, at that point, very little. And John said, well, how many songs do you have? I was like, I don't know, maybe 8, 9, I don't know, something like that. And he goes, well, send me everything you have. And Honky Tonk Saints did not, from my perspective, when I first sent in the first 5, Honky Tonk Saints was not on that list. I did not see it as like having potential for like a single, or even really to make the record. I kind of thought of it as just sort of like a kind of silly novelty song, I think is how I kind of looked at it, right? And then, so then John was like, send me the rest of what you have. And I put them in numerical order, the order I thought should be prioritized in. And I put Honky Tonk Saints at 8, I think, and,
It's at one.
and yeah, right. And then we got in the studio, and John was like, dude, you got to put this song on the record. And now it's the first radio single. So it just goes to show,
Yeah.
that
So
artists,
that
yeah,
yes.
go ahead.
Yes, it is your first radio single. So let's go ahead and take a listen to Honky Tonk Saint. Okay, so now tell me the backstory. Everybody's kind of got to take a listen to it now, but basically, you're writing about some of your heroes.
Yeah, that's right. I got I mean I grew up listening to country music. I was born in the early 80s and grew up in just rural areas almost my whole upbringing with very few exceptions, and I grew up on 80s and 90s radio country. I knew every George Strait song from the 80s growing up. I had the greatest hits, on cassette tape. I listened to every Garth Brooks record that came out, up to the year probably 99 or 2000. I just knew every word to every song. And those are my big influences. But then as I got older and got more exposed to, older country music, like Hank and Lefty Frizzell and all those kind of people, they were the ones that I started that kind of later on in life started having more of a kind of a formative influence. And so when I wrote Honky Tonk Saints, I took my experiences playing church music growing up, which I did for a very long time, and then I was like, okay, so I had church, I had the honky tonk. Like, what if the honky tonk were church? How would we take communion in the honky tonk, or how would we, what would our praise songs be, in the honky tonk? And then I was like, okay, well, who are the heroes? In the church we have the saints, Saint Luke and Saint Mark and Saint Paul and all these kind of saints. And I was like, the heroes of the honky tonk would be the saints. We're gonna get rowdy and go honky tonking tonight, and we're gonna do it under the blessing of all the old honky tonk saints. So I
Wow,
just kind of
that's
the metaphor kind of got away from me.
wow, that's an awesome testimonial there. So
Yeah.
Phil, who are some of your musical influences?
Oh, I mean, the North Star is Willie Nelson. He just kind of
Yes.
points the direction of what to do and how to do it. And try to learn a little bit from his mistakes without making them ourselves. He certainly made pretty much every mistake you could probably make in the book. Both poured through his "It's a Long Story" book many times.
Many times.
His biography and I mean, yeah, I've been fortunate to have a little bit of a relationship with Kinky Friedman, and he's been kind of someone too of just someone who does exactly what they want to do in creating their music and their art, and that's been an inspiration from childhood and then just continuing even to this day and getting to work with him. Get to do some stuff with him next week, and every time I get to do any kind of work with him, it's like a little dream come true for my little 10-year-old self.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm fortunate to, and Stephen gets me into that some of that George Strait I didn't quite know all the album tracks on some of those George Strait albums, and I'm like going back like, that's pretty nice.
Oh, y'all two are such a pleasure. Well, digging some more into the album, I want to briefly discuss. I'm just going to throw out. I really thought it was so soulful. Enjoyed "Flower of the Rio Grande." It just kind of stole my heart. That one did. So I mean, and I love how it switches things up, because then you go to "You and Me" and the neon. I mean, I'm so ready to go dancing. But one I want to talk to, and we're going to take a listen to it, is "Trust Me, You Can't Trust Me." If you can't get going from that song, then you need to go to church. It's like, that is the funnest song I've heard in a long time.
Thanks for saying that.
So tell me about that one. Did you write that one on your trip, or was it a quick write?
It was before the trip. It was a while before the trip, actually.
Okay.
Like maybe a year and a half. So right before I met Phill, the beginning of 2018, I wrote kind of a suite of songs that would become, half of which became the record. The other half we played until I wrote something better. And I went through, in a very short period of time, I wrote a suite of songs in just really kind of a remarkably short period of time. The inspiration was just coming, and it was coming so fast that sometimes I felt like I couldn't keep up with it. And I had written several, and one day the hook for "Trust Me" kind of went through my mind. "Trust me, darling, you can't trust me." And I was like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
No.
Like, I'm not gonna write that. And so, but 3 days later, it was still ping ponging around
Yes,
in my brain. And
yes.
I finally just got to the point. I was like, fine, I'll write it. like, fine,
So now it's ping ponging around in my brain.
Good. Well, that's good. I
And
guess
that's
that's
what's
the
going
whole
to happen
idea.
to everybody. I'm telling you, everybody, when you get a hold of this album, I mean, all of them are good, but I enjoyed that song so much. And then, okay, so I get to the end, and
Yes.
I get to Quesadilla Mamacita, and my guy is like, "Are you still up?" And I'm like, "Hold up, hold up." He said, "I gotta get up early." I said, "Oh no, you're not." I swear, the woman with hair up to God holding a tortilla. I was looking at the backstory that y'all had kind of sent out. It
Right.
doesn't get any better than that.
uh,
Tell me all about
yeah,
it.
well, that's funny. That was another one where the hook just went through my head. I had this friend, Jess, who lives in San Antonio, and one day in the summer of 2019, she had gone to eat Mexican food or something, and I think she sent me a picture of her plate and said, "Can you write me a song about a quesadilla?" And I mean, almost identical to the way it was with Trust Me. Immediately, the hook, "My little quesadilla, mamacita," just immediately was in my head, and I was like, I knew better by that point on, in my writing career. I was like, once the hook was there, I was like, I'm not going to try to avoid this, and I think I wrote it in like an hour or an hour and a half. It just came to me so fast.
Well, I'm so glad that she sent you that picture and asked for you to write a song about it, because I'm telling you, that's such a gift. And I bet that goes over good at your live shows. Have you put that out for the at your live shows yet?
Oh yeah, yeah. We used to close shows with it for
Uh-huh.
a
I could
while.
see that.
Yeah, like that summer, I think it was like kind of the fresh song I'd written, so like everybody liked it and closed the show with it.
Someone came from Blanco the other day. We played in Blanco, and someone came and said, "We really want to hear that quesadilla song." And they hadn't listened to it. This is from their memory.
This
It's
is
not
just-
like
yeah.
they have a recording of it.
Right, right.
It's like, we want to hear that one again. And I'm like, I'm telling you, Steven, you can't bury this in the set list. We got to put it out there. It's got to be. People want to hear this thing.
Yes, yes, it's amazing. So you've got back to, I want to make sure we make everybody aware. How are you releasing to Texas radio, your honky tonk say, or is it going, where are you releasing that to as far as radio?
So we're starting with some Americana radio promotion in this early part of the fall, and I think as the album drops and we keep getting some traction and doing some more booking out and around Texas, then we're going to look more into some Texas radio promotion as the fall goes on into early winter, and maybe even with some new singles that we've got a few songs that will be on the next record that are we think are pretty good too. So it could be one of those songs as well.
So do y'all have a lot of shows coming up? Anything like that's kind of standing out for you as far as your tour schedule?
Well, we're playing the Broken Spoke on the 4th to promote the record, and then I'm pretty excited. We're playing at Flores Country Store on the 7th.
Oh, nice.
Oh, just once again, it's like I've seen Willie there many times, and it's nice to just begin that journey and get out to Flores and on Sunday and start working our way up there. And we're planning a little tour potentially to Nashville and back in September. So we're getting all the dates locked in there, dance halls and breweries and showcases, every kind of gig under the sun. We're looking forward to getting on the road too.
Certainly.
Yeah, we've got some good dates. Phil's been handling the booking since we started, and he's done a great job. I mean, he's gotten us. I think that September tour I'm excited about. I mean, we're playing again, kind of like Floors. It's great to start the journey in some places that we really have admired and wanted to play and seen our heroes play. Like I think we're playing Continental Club in Houston and Hernando's Hideaway, Dale Watson's place in Memphis. Yeah. We've got a one date in Nashville during Americana Fest, which is wonderful. This woman, India Ramey, who we when we showcased South by Southwest this year, we were on the same bill with her, and so kind of built like a good relationship there, and so we're partnering with her again when we get to Nashville in the middle of September. So yeah, I mean, I feel really excited about what we have coming up with live shows. And again, Phil's done an incredible job, handling all that. So
yeah, that's some good spots.
Yeah, we would work with a booking agency though.
Yeah, I would love to pass that. I think Phil would love to pass that off to someone else. We're going to get there pretty soon. I think.
Yeah, yes, y'all will. Well, it's been so enjoyable just getting to know you and then finally getting to visit with you. And so, of course, again, the new album comes out August 5th. Lunatics, Lovers, and Poets. We've talked about some of the music and listened to it here, and y'all have just been, you're just such a jewel. Y'all just keep up the good work. And where can everyone find you on music platforms or your website for more information?
We're on all the streaming platforms. The video for Flower of the Rio Grande was just released not long ago, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, and it's on YouTube. So we've got that up. We also have a video for Honky Tonk Saints coming that will be released on YouTube the same day as the album release.
August 2nd.
Oh, sorry, the second, not the same day. Yeah, a few days before the release. Really proud of both of those videos. I don't think neither of us had ever made a music video before.
I know. What was that like for y'all?
It was incredible. Like, here's our vision, and then once we got to working with good people, it was great to see it come back afterwards and see how they could highlight people dancing and sawdust on the floor and Flower of the Rio Grande. We went out to the Devil's River, so this majestic scenery out there. So we were lucky, and even from the first video to the second, just keep learning. I'm already ready for the third.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well, again, thank you so much. Best of luck to y'all on everything. Everyone say thank you to the Western Express, because I am. Thank you guys so much. Oh, wait. One more thing, before I let you go. Phill, if you were a cocktail, what would you be?
Oh, an old fashioned.
Steven?
Does it have to be a cocktail? Can I just be a Jameson shot?
There you go. That's it. That's it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Phill and Steven from the Western Express.
Thanks for having us.
And with a heavy tongue, she knew where I was from. As she left, I dared to say